Hi, today I am really happy to be talking with Andy McNeilly from the wonderful country of Australia. I'm excited to talk to him because I think we're going to have a really good conversation about a topic that for me, uh, I'm seeing just in my own private practice how important it is to basically connect with our family, specifically connecting with our kids. Andy is a teacher, an author, an educator, a coach, and a parent. He has a wonderful book out called Connecting with Your Kids, and he offers a lot of practical workshops and in those workshops, ways that we can learn how to connect better with our children and build stronger, more resilient family relationships. Andy's website is andymcneilly.com.au. I'm going to put the link to that in the below in the info section. So Andy, welcome. Thanks for being with me.
Hey, thanks. It's a great pleasure. Up early this morning for a good chat.
Yeah.
It's lovely to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Oh, sure. Andy informed me that he likes to get up early and ride his bike at what, 5 a.m. your time?
That's how I start my day. Bike ride at 5 a.m. Nice and quiet out on the roads, riding down by the beach, and get home, bake a bit of bread, cup of coffee, and ready to start the day.
Okay. Well, 5 a.m. as my dad would say, I guess that's okay for those that like that. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Well, when I started doing those 5 a.m. bike rides, I'm not sure it was a matter of like. It's now a habit. So
yeah.
I
Well,
like
it's a
it
good
now.
habit. It's a healthy
It is.
habit.
Yeah, I love it.
Uh,
Yep.
well, let me just kind of throw out something to you. We are living in an incredibly disconnected world. I mean, to the point that where I was saying this to someone the other day, the wonderful technology that we have that allows us to text has actually created less actual vocal conversations among people. And we're now, instead of having conversations even on the phone, we're having a couple of words and back and forth, and that somehow we think we're connecting with people. So beyond just the technological disconnect, there seems to be a lot of social, emotional disconnect. And unfortunately, I think our children, and for research I'm reading, are indeed suffering from this disconnect. How did you, with your work, how did you come to really start to focus more on this idea of kind of bringing us back in to start connecting better?
Well, actually, I did notice that, Paul, that the disconnect was happening and that people were forgetting like how to talk. People in trains, people in lifts,
Yes.
just in day to day, forgetting to say hi. We've got our heads down looking at phones. We're bringing our work home. We are so contactable now that we can open the laptop and we just get our head stuck in this. So we're just forgetting to close the laptop or put the phone away and say, let's have dinner together. Let's play a game together.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go for a walk together. It's just we're so busy and we're all expected to do so much. Maybe we're bringing that on ourselves. Maybe we think we should be doing so much. So it's really important to sort of say, I noticed in my life, it was really important to say, put it away, stop it, you
Mm-hmm.
know, be with the family and spend some time together.
Mm-hmm. Again, I want to say that there's always a balance here with all the great technology. We also have this downside, and I also teach. I'm a psychology professor, and I teach, and I've noticed with the younger adults. I remember one day I was coming out of my office, headed to the classroom, and I didn't hear anything in the classroom. I thought, oh my goodness, am I going in the first day of class? Am I going in the wrong? And I open the door and I'm packed house and not one person is talking to another person. They're all on their phones. And now granted, I'm an older guy, but I don't know, there's something about college, like talking to the pretty girl that's next to you or making jokes with the guys in the back. And it has definitely been a big change. And unfortunately, like I say, our children, we sometimes kind of blame them, I think. I'm using metaphoric we for doing that, but this is a systemic thing of our culture, Western culture as a whole. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I totally see where you're coming from. And we like to put that blame onto our youth, yet when they come home and they're at home and they see us on our devices, how can they expect any difference? What we are modeling to our kids is what they learn. It's all very well to teach them to say, do this or do that, but if you are doing something else. So I think as adults, it's a matter of us to put our devices away and us to create situations in our family that will encourage them to have their devices away or to manage them really well. You can't say, don't use devices, don't use the technology, because a lot of these kids have been born with this. They don't know anything other than that. That's what they know. So it's a matter of us sort of creating those situations and saying, a little bit less. For me, it's not stop it. It's how do you manage it and use it to its full potential, where you can still have a connected family.
Yeah, when you said that, it just kind of reminded me back. I remember technology I'm a late bloomer to it because it's really a recent invention. And little things like the remotes now to televisions, whereas, first of all, there was no remote when we were growing up, but then when we got one, it was pretty basic, turn on and off. And now it's like I had the remote one time, and my 8-year-old niece had to show me how to do it. And here I am with a doctoral degree, and I hit the button and the shower turned on. So I didn't know what I was doing. And you're right, they've kind of been brought up to that. When people like come to get your input, your coaching, come to your workshops, and they do want to feel like they want to connect better with their kids, what do you think the biggest barrier, other than just technology, from these people who desire to do that? What are they not doing?
For me, it's possibly a bit of a habit. We're used to not being bored, so we want to keep busy. So it's that habit of like, I'll just do stuff. I'll clean this. I'll tidy this. I'll check my text. So even if you're not using your technology, it's doing something. There's not a lot of sitting around going, I don't know what to do. And from that boredom sometimes can come a bit of a spark, a bit of creativity. Hey, let's play some cards, or let's go for a walk. Yeah. That might come from that boredom. I think sometimes we're just so busy in our lives and looking for fulfillment, and always to be having something to do. That's a possible reason. I'm not sure.
Well, with this, right now, when we're having this interview, we're still, dealing with all the COVID related issues. And the one positive thing I've seen about this whole situation is in my neighborhood, when we had our little lockdown thing going on, I saw families out walking together as a family around the block. It's like they had, I think, we've watched enough television, Netflix, whatever. We've been on the phones that we just got, and it's almost like they felt they were going to go nuts if they didn't go out. But the positive was they actually had moment of connection just doing that. And I'm wondering and hoping if maybe having that experience after all this, finally, hopefully, knock on wood, we were able to get back to some semblance of normality. Maybe more parents go, hey, it really was cool to take a walk or to play the card game or that. Where do you think all this busyness, or I should say, all this perceived busyness comes from in families?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. Maybe it is the technology or connection that with work that we can't leave it behind. Maybe it's that importance of jobs, of feeling you're climbing the ladder or whatever it is in work. I don't know. But, I know that when we really stop and think, and, there's a lot of famous sort of quotes and things that people say, when they're on their deathbed going, oh, there's not people would say, never say, I wish I worked harder at work. The thing is, more people would be saying, I wish I spent more time with my family. It's not, I wish I earned more money. In the wisdom of that age, as you've just come to the end of your life, that's the sort of quotes that people say. And then what do we do in our lives? We're really busy, So I don't know. It's an interesting question, though.
Yeah. I think our Western culture, and I'll say this as someone an American in the United States, is just so, I mean, we work hard, and I think we work too hard. And maybe with technology, we're never off the clock mentally. And
Mm.
I don't know. It's be interesting to have maybe we'll have a roundtable discussion with some people from Eastern countries, and how do they connect, and all of that. Well, so I guess right now I'm kind of interested in some of the pragmatics of when you're working with people. What are some things that if a family or a parent comes to you and say, look, I really want to connect with the kids, I want us to connect as family, what are some things just in general? I know it's probably individual cases require different things, but in general, what are some things that you think tend to work well to create that interaction?
So the best thing I think to do to start with is to start small. So perhaps think about 1 hour a week where you'll turn off all your screens, no TV, internet, Wi-Fi, phones, like 1 hour, that's it. And see what happens. Maybe get out a deck of cards or a board game and just play for 1 hour a week and see what happens.
Mhm.
And do the kids go, oh, that was the worst hour of my life? Or do they go, hey, that was all right? So I tried heaps of things with my family, and that was one thing I did. I tried on a chalkboard. I wrote Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and we did one little thing every day. And we found with our business, we didn't do everything, but it did start the ball rolling. So
Mhm.
my family, we play, I've now got teenage kids, and we have a games night every week. And it's a bit of a habit now for us to do it. We just get the games night out. And being teenagers, we had to bribe our kids. So every time we play is some licorice or chocolate biscuits or something like that. Whatever it takes, it works. So the kids go, okay, this is great. But I'll just warn you too, now they're teenagers, we start playing, and my wife and I, Sandy, my wife and I start going, this is great. And by the time we're halfway through it, they're just having so much fun. They're driving us crazy. They're just being so silly. They're having so much fun. We're going, what have we started?
Uh-huh.
This is terrible. So they're having any fun. But anyway, it is good fun. But it takes, for our family, it takes a bribe now, So for me, it starts something small. Whether it's, we'll go for a walk down to the ice cream shop on the weekend. One little thing. I don't know what it takes for your family, for other families, but it's just start small and see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Well, and as a therapist, that's one of my things. Sometimes that's the best way to create long-lasting big change, or small little changes. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's probably very manageable. I think for most people, if they seriously want to connect, it's kind of like creating those rituals in the family that maybe our modern life has either um, just forgotten, or just never did. As you were saying that, I remember years ago, back when I had kids in the house, I'm a big old time radio from like the 40s and 50s. I'm a huge fan of that, and I have some of the recordings. And we did a thing where just even listening for 30 minutes to a spooky show or a sci-fi show from the 40s or 50s, it's amazing how just even that little bit of a ritual, and just us sitting and all kind of using our imagination with it, how that could create an interesting interaction and a dynamic for 20 or 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You have advice on rituals and things like that busy people can do? I mean, you've kind of said, just starting small. What are some things you've gotten like feedback from people you've worked with?
So some things like you're talking about rituals, it reminds me of a really good friend of mine, a family, who they've had a ritual of a certain weekend of the year, they go away camping. Not just it started with their family, and then it ended up being 3 or 4 families. So now he's in his 60s and his kids come, and they bring their grandchildren, and it's like this, they almost take over the camping spot. And that's their ritual every year. And from that ritual of going camping for one weekend a year has spawned a whole lot of different rituals that other groups go. And he's been to weddings. He went to a wedding, I think, in Florida. He went to a wedding in Europe, because of his friends' kids. They're just such a tight-knit community.
Right.
Have invited him to the wedding. So I think that comes to mind for a ritual, something like that, stories of things that can grow from a little thing. Just a camping trip, that's all it was. And now they're this connected group of people and their families connected.
That's awesome. I mean,
Mm,
I mean, and it sounds like having fun anyway. And
yeah.
it's like we never know how far, down the road, it's like the one conversation someone has to somebody. Ever thought about, just taking a chemistry class, and then that guy ends up becoming this world famous chemist who discovers some medication that saves millions of lives.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
kind of ballooning out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So the other thing I was going to
yeah.
say to me is if you were thinking about some ritual or habit or something, it's got to be fun
Yeah.
too. Because if the kids don't want to do it and you don't want to do it, why would you continue it?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's got to be like, after or maybe a week or two or something, everyone's going, yeah, I'm busting for this. This is great. Now, for us to start with, I was talking about that games night. The boys particularly weren't finding it fun, but they liked the chocolate or the licorice. And now they find it's fun.
Yeah.
So, it's totally silliness what's happening with the games. You watch it and go, why would you want to do that sometimes? But, it is fun. We look forward to it.
Yeah. I think you just have a very good point, is that, yes, it's got to be fun, but it also needs to be fun for everyone. I mean, I can remember I never had too many family vacations, and by too many, I mean, I think we had one or two growing
Yeah.
up. My father was just always away and working, but the one or two we did, I mean, it's some nice memories, but it was really geared toward the kind of things my parents were interested in. That now at almost 50 years old, I'd be like, that sounds so awesome. Let's go to all these historic sites and watch blacksmiths work. And and when you're 11 or 12, you're kind of like, are you kidding me? And I think sometimes some of us probably forget that if we want something, it's got to be fun for everyone.
Absolutely. Yeah, so if we go away, sometimes we negotiate where we're going to go. So Sandy and I might say, well, we're going camping. Where would you like to go?
Yeah.
We've got this spot or that spot. And the kids say, oh, I don't like that one. There's nothing to do there. What about if we go to Air River? That's a great place because we can jump off the bridge and we can walk to the beach and we can play Frisbee. Okay, let's do that. So a bit of negotiation sometimes on their behalf. When they've got that buy-in, they're going, oh, cool, we're going to Air River. Rather than, oh, we're going camping again with mum and dad.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And I think also as the parents, you've kind of decided this is what we're going to do. We're in charge, but you're giving them this ability to feel like they are a part of the decision, instead of being, well, we're going camping whether you like it or not. You're saying, well, we're going camping. I mean, that's what's going to happen. So
yeah.
where would you like to go? I think, again, that's the buy-in, and that it's fun for everyone.
Yeah.
And
it's like the games night. What game would you like to play? We're playing games.
Yeah.
Which game? So sometimes they choose the game that's not the game. But anyway, it is the buy-in. It gets them in.
Well, when you're teaching in your workshops, what do you find that when people, do you get the, because I've gotten this when I've tried to recommend things to families, and it's usually always the parents that are the problem, is, oh, that'd be great, but, or I call it the yes buts. Yes, but, and then they tell me about how busy they are, and how, and even if, like you say, you want to start small, do you find that a lot of times they have these kind of mental blocks that, you really do have 1 hour a week. I mean, it's not slavery. You can go and do something 1 hour a week. Do you find that's often the case, is kind of they've already limited the way they see the interaction?
Yeah, so in my workshops, I do find that. So when I'm running a workshop, my invitation is, I'm going to give you a lot of stuff here. There's going to be some things you go, that is not for our family. That will not work. There's going to be some stuff you're going to go, that's okay. But there's going to be 1 or 2 bits of gold you're going to go, that's for our family. I'm going to try that. So rather than say, I would like you to try these big thing or these 10 things, I'd like you to listen, and listen with your heart. Not with your head, listen with your heart. What fits for you and your family? Maybe you take something and adjust it a bit for your family, because I don't know your family as well as you do. So just listen to those 2 bits of gold, and I invite you to make a small change. That's how I approach it. So rather than saying, it's all very well for me to say, I think I know your family best, which quite often I do, because, I do, of course, I know I'm so smart and all this stuff, but to be honest, they actually know their family better than anyone. So that's the invitation for me, is like, what works for your family is what you should do.
Right, right. I want to, you used a phrase there that I want you to clarify for me, because I think it's so beautiful. You said, I just want you to listen with your heart. Can you tell me,
Yeah.
listen with your mind and listen with your heart? What's the difference for you?
So for me, you're listening with your head, you're analyzing, does it work? Is there evidence? What do the others say? Sometimes I think our lives are so full of research and evidence and what works, that I think we've forgotten as a human race in the West to think with our gut, with our heart. I don't think the caveman was there and a bear came along and they started looking at research. What does the research say? Should I hide or should I run? Should I get a fire going? Should I have to get my spear? They didn't do any research. They just knew what to do. Boom, off they went. And I think we forget sometimes to think, what's right for me? What does my gut say? And I think in the West, it's going to be I'm hoping there'll be a turnaround where people will think, okay, there's research out there, but what does my gut say? Because for me, there is research saying you should do this, and there's some other research saying you should do the exact opposite.
Right.
You'll find research to fit whatever you think.
Always.
Mm-hmm.
Always. And, I was actually having this conversation with a very predominant researcher of psychotherapy outcomes. And I told him, I said, sometimes I feel some of the studies I read, it's kind of like diets, because every diet institute, health institute, medical, they have, here's the diet you need to use. And then you go to the other one and they say, no, this is the one. And all of them have research to verify their approach. And so we're still kind of left, and if we're real left brain thinkers, and we need that research. And so we're kind of left in the dark if all we do is only focus on the numbers.
Yeah, it's interesting. So that research can be so flawed, but you're talking about a diet. And if I'm going to tell you my diet works, I guarantee I really believe it's going to work. So if I find something that maybe hints to it not working, don't see that. I can't see that. Right. Not there. But then I find the research that does work. See? Yeah, it works. So that's the flaw in research for me.
Yeah, the selective perception, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, speaking of research, a good bit of research that I've read in the family therapy field is a lot of saying we're society's changing, and families are changing in how they relate to each other. And do you feel that your approach is something from the past you're bringing forward that worked, or are you just kind of blending the best of little things that used to work before all the technology, and continuing to hold a space that technology is cool as long as there's a balance?
So it is from a bit of past of seeing what's worked, but also it's from what I see in the classroom as a primary school teacher. So I've seen some really good teachers get really good results by teaching and teaching and teaching. But I also find that their connection with the kids, their relationship building isn't so good. Mm-hmm. So the kids just get through and do the work and they get a good grade. Whereas the teachers who spend that time with the kids, have fun, play games, make all their learning interactive. I'm not saying it's all got to be fun, because sometimes we've got to do stuff we don't like. But the ones who build the relationships get better results with less teaching time, less time on the tools. So, and I've noticed too myself that when I'm doing things that are fun, connected, engaging, I get better results naturally without actually having to push. Mm-hmm. And sometimes saying that, you do that, and some kids aren't ready to learn whatever lesson you're teaching. They're not ready yet. That's okay. They'll be ready some other time, and it might not be in my year. But does it matter if they haven't got it right now? You know, I haven't learned everything I need to know yet, and I'm 53. I'm still learning stuff, and there's some stuff I could have learned earlier and I didn't because I wasn't focusing. So anyway, interesting.
Yeah. Well, you know, as you're saying that, it reminded me of this idea of, in my field of therapy, is that we have been inundated by so much desire to basically give information to our clients, and the same way to our students, you know, whether it's whatever from, you know, primary up to, you know, university, is we give information. And I think sometimes we forget, maybe even with our own children, the giving of the information only tends to work as far as being held on to by the recipient if, number one, they're incredibly interested naturally, or they have such an experience, positive experience, a different, unique experience, that the information goes in. So I think this providing, like you're saying, connecting, the very act of connection is giving information, but it's creating that experiential component to get the, and the information may just be, hey, you know what, I love you, kid. I mean, you know, we're actually, you know, it's okay for us to talk and have fun and be silly. But if I say that, okay, son, daughter, here's the info. It's okay to say you love each other and have fun, and it's not the experience that they
Yeah,
need.
absolutely. You're right. It's the experience. That is totally what it is. Because you can say whatever you say, and it doesn't mean anything till you have that experience, that fun, a connection, the love, the play.
You know, just this word just popped in my head: authenticity. Can you tell me? I don't know why it just popped in my head. Can you tell me authenticity and connecting with your kids? Talk about that if you can.
Yeah. So when I hear that, what comes to mind is this phrase that was coined in recent times about being busy. Oh, I'm going to spend quality time with my kids. It's not quantity, it's quality time.
Right.
So we think that quality time is just quick, get it done, quality. And it's not genuine. It's not that authenticity is when you're just lying there on the carpet reading a book with your kid and you're just in awe of them and they're rolling around in awe of you. That genuine connection, you know, you feel it in here. Yeah. You feel it in your heart, you know, when you say, oh, I want to do it again. That was great. I know those days I have at work. I had one yesterday, and it was those experiences. So I'm teaching year 6 children, so they're 12 years old, and being such an odd year, we're trying to change things up, finishing the year, their final year of primary school. And we're out in the garden and we're building things. So we were just getting some old blocks of wood and nailing fence palings, so about 5 foot long little garden beds they were making, and they were just having a ball, hitting nails in, cutting with a saw. And I just I got to the stage where I wasn't giving any instruction. I just stood back and watched these groups of 3 or 4 kids helping, working together, having fun, and then they're putting dirt in their planter boxes. So look what we made. And they were just so engaged. It was so I can just see them all going home and going, Mom, Dad, guess what we did at school today? You know, rather than, hey, kid, what'd you do at school? Nothing. What's the best thing? Playing with my friends. Yeah. So it was just, you could just see that it was just a genuine great time. No complaining. I had one kid who was doing a bit of wandering around, but that's unusual when you've got 30 kids. Right. You know, it was great.
And in that moment, it's just kind of, you weren't, the term I'm thinking of is probably not a good right term, but and you have to be controlling. I mean, you always have to if you're the adult with small children, but it's like you could kind of relax and release a little bit so that you're in control, but you're not controlling, I guess is what I want to.
Absolutely. Yeah. And really, I suppose when I say I'm in control, I actually wasn't in control, but I was there in case I needed to supervise. Right. But they were so engaged. And they were, you know, of course, nails bend and, you know, someone hits the hammer with their thumb, but there was no problem. They just sort of sorted it out themselves. It was just this blissful moment of teaching where I was like up in the clouds watching, going, wow, you know, I wasn't doing anything. It was great. Yeah. And I was sort of feeling like, hey, this isn't fair. I'm not part of this. So I had to get down with the kids and say, and just chat to them. And what are you doing there? And, do you want some coaching here with that how to fix that nail? Like, no, but, it looks good. Do you want to write your name on it? Yeah, it was fabulous.
Yeah. So almost like the Taoist idea of doing by not doing, kind of
Yeah.
just
Mm-hmm.
just happened. Um, Let me ask you this: being spontaneous. How important is it being spontaneous with your family, with when you have your children that you want to connect with? Does spontaneity, is that important in the interactions?
For me, if it's driven by the kid, absolutely. You're doing something, you're busy, you've got a deadline to meet or whatever, and the kid says, hey, come on, let's go and kick the footy.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's do it. Because in 10 minutes time, when you say, hold on, just give me 10 minutes, that opportunity might not be there. They've moved on. Mm-hmm. So kids, quite often, it's like, do you want to do it? It's now. Now mm-hmm. is their life. They're not going to sit there and go, right, okay, 10 o'clock, I'll kick footy with Dad. Mm-hmm. 10:15, I'll cook a cake. 10:45, I'll go and walk the dog. They don't do that. They just sort of hang in. They go, now. So I think spontaneity can be just drop everything, go for it. Mm-hmm. Does it really matter? Is that thing you're doing that important? I remember when I started writing a book and doing my work with connecting with kids. I'm tapping around on the computer, writing my book, and Dad, can you play a game? I said, hold on, I'll be 10 minutes. And after a while, the kids go, so your book's called Connecting with Your Kids, is it, Dad? So as soon as they said that, I go, yeah, I got it. Close the laptop. I had to do it. They're calling me on it. So it was fantastic. So I learned to this is the time. It's now. Uh-huh. Yeah. Quite funny.
Which forces you to, all of us, if we take that approach, it forces us to be in the present. And because it's so easy, we're all kind of future oriented. Even when we say, okay, I'm going to do my meditation, I'm going to be present oriented. Well, how long are you going to do that? 20, 30 minutes? And guess what? Then we go right back to go, okay, I got to get these things done. And so the children, if we allow them, they're wonderful teachers. It's just like right now, be present right now. You're playing the ball right now. You're either playing the ball or you're not. And, moment passed, like the clouds that go across the sky. So,
yeah, it's funny. I just laugh because now we're teaching people to be present. We're teaching them mindfulness.
Right.
What does that mean? So in the classroom, I'll sit down and say, right, just get out a piece of paper and draw a scribble on it and just get your pencil and color one of the circles. And just as you're coloring, feel your feet on the ground and breathe that air and listen to the sounds in the room. I have to teach them because we've forgotten it. We're in the future. What's next? When's playtime?
Right.
When am I going to get that job done? When am I going to do this? Yeah. We're not here now.
Yeah.
Funny.
And it's again that's sometimes the macrocosm of busyness, as we kind of started talking about, and having to do things and like all this future, it really robs us of that moment and that connection and that time.
Yeah. So Socrates, a great quote I heard from Socrates was, "Beware the barrenness of a busy life."
Right.
Which that hits it for me. I'm always trying to be busy. Don't want to be bored.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think if we can stay busy, then we don't have to. I know it's kind of like we don't. It's like in our quest to be busy, we don't take stock of things. And for maybe some of us, it's better not to take stock of things because then it points out, look where all your energy's going. And a lot of times it's totally not the important thing to you. I can remember years ago, I went through a really rough time with getting divorced, and I realized it was getting all that. It's like, all this other stuff that I was doing that I thought was so important. When you go through these rough times, like illness, divorce, financial, you find out that really wasn't the most important thing. Wasn't wrong, and I think kids intuitively kind of just maybe because they don't have the brain fully developed to have that indoctrination from culture to be so busy. And if they're busy, they're having fun in the moment or doing what they're doing. You never see 2 6-year-olds going, what's the meaning of this? How's this really going to pay off in the long run?
Yeah.
what's my legacy as a human being?
Yeah, yeah. Now, give me time. I need to be on my Xbox. I need
Right,
to be doing.
right.
I'm running around. Yeah, yeah,
Mm,
exactly.
mm.
Mm.
So, for people who are interested in your work, tell us just a little bit about your latest book. I told you before we get started, I've looked through it. I really enjoy it. As a matter of fact, I took it up to my therapy office. We have a little bookshelf full of different books that clients can look through while they're waiting on their session. So I made sure that one was in there. So could you tell a little bit about the book itself?
Sure. I noticed as a primary school teacher, I noticed that as a teaching group of people, we teach the academic stuff really well. The reading, writing, maths. We get great results. You know, the kids can read and they can do their maths and spell words and all that. And I noticed that we weren't doing the stuff, the social and emotional learning, the stuff as well. The teaching kids executive skills, gratitude, empathy, reading body language, organization, all these sorts of skills. So I wanted to write a book that would help parents teach these skills and also to connect with their kids because we are so busy, as we've talked about. So the premises of the book was to stop and do something small. So it's broken, the book's broken down into 48 chapters. So there are 4 chapters per month, one each per executive skill. And it's got a little story and a quote and some benefits of obtaining that skill, and then 10 little ideas of what you could do to help teach that skill. Now, the skills, teaching those skills, those 10 activities, my suggestion is to take one and adapt it for your family. And they're really easy. They're things you can do with stuff you have at home. They're cheap, and it's that connection. So you might, the book might be sitting on the table, and one of the kids might say, let's do resilience. There's a little game in here. Let's just stop and play this game. So it's something that you can do as a family. So it's just 10 minutes. So the idea is it's not highbrow. It's not full of research, and it's not a parenting expert book saying you should do this. Here's what the research says. It's, here's a suggestion. Maybe this one will work for your family. Maybe that one will. So choose one of them and go, that looks like a good one. Let's do this. Let's just do this. Yeah. And although it might be focusing on one executive skill, it is connecting you as a family. And there's so many other things you learn about it. Just doing those things. They're experiences. They're not, here's what resilience is. You've got to do A, B, C, D. It's just doing some stuff, and hopefully you might become a bit more resilient, or maybe you might learn something else. You might learn about reading body language, or being calm, or negotiation. There's a lot of other things you'll learn just from the experience.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. And the way you set it up, it is that somebody could just be sitting there waiting on their session, open it up and get an idea, and
Absolutely.
then go home and implement it.
Yep.
I kind of agree with you. A lot of the books I've seen on parenting, I mean, I'm just, well, let's keep it positive. I shouldn't say anything.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. For me, I've read a lot of parenting books, and I go, wow, this is information is really good. It's great information, but for me, it doesn't make a difference.
Right.
So, we can all have these ideas about what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and how you should be. But that's also from someone else who doesn't even know your family. The thing about the book that I've written is it's so a parent can take it, and they know their family better than anyone, and they can take the activity that works for them or adjust it so easily. It's just so easy to go, I like activity 2 and 4, but if I could combine them, that's our family. Because there's no expert on a parent's family. They're the expert. We can be an expert. A parenting expert can think they know about everyone's family, but they're all so different. We're organic beings. We're human beings. We're not machines. You can write a book on how to fix, your Toyota, and that Toyota is really specific. It has parts that go here and bits that turn there, but human beings aren't like that.
Yeah. Well, Andy, a heartfelt chat today. I think you're doing some really important work, and I just encourage anybody who's interested in just connecting with their kids and with their family as a whole to definitely check out your work. I really appreciate you talking with me today. In our last moment here, any advice to a parent that says, where do I start?
Small, start small. So for me, you might sort of say that book sounds pretty helpful for me. I might like to have a look at it. So if you want to have a look at it, you can actually get most of it for free. So if you follow Connecting with Your Kids on Facebook, I post twice a week with just a quote or a challenge to do on the weekend or a little story. So that'll give you a taste of what's in the book. You can also go onto my website, andymcneilly.com.au, and there's a blog there, and the blog has a chapter from the book, so you can get a feel for it. And if you don't want to buy it or you can't afford it, you're not interested, it's free. It'll just be eventually posted there, just so you can follow it that way. But if it's, not that I don't think I'm going to get rich from selling the book, but for me, I wrote it to be helpful to people. If you have it sitting on your dining room table or somewhere where it's visible, that might be the prompt to go, hey, let's just stop and do something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we've just opened it randomly on page 74. Let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? So that's what be for me. That's what I would love to see, that being helpful to people. As soon as it's not helpful, I'm not interested.
Very, very wise way to see things. Well, thanks so much for talking to me today, and I really appreciate it. And like I say, just keep up the fantastic work, because I think you have a timely message.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for the invitation. It's been an honor to talk to you, and good luck with what you're doing. Thank you.